In this video, we'll go through exam questions that cover the criteria, recognize and calculate equivalences between common fractions, percentages, and decimals. You can locate the questions on the mathsmax.com website under Level 1. The questions come from different exam boards. We'll start with the non-calculated questions and then we'll move to the calculated questions. Here is the first one. In the 1930s, there were 12,500 square miles of wildfire meadow in the UK. By 2017, only 5% of this remained. What is 5% as a decimal? 5%. That is 5 out of 100. What else do we have out of 100? That's money. Pounds. So 5 pence would be 5 out of 100 because there are 100 pence in a pound. So 5 pence is like 5%. So with pound notation, you'd write 5 pence like this. A decimal is no different. 0.05. That is what 5% is as a decimal. So it might be worth linking percent with pence. They both start with P as well. And they're both out of 100. How many square miles of wildflower meadow remained in the UK in 2017? So that was only 5% of 12,500. So we're going to work out 5% of 12,500. As we can't use a calculator, we'll use the 10% method. So first of all, I'm just going to represent the whole amount here. So we have 10 divisions. That will be 10% each. The whole thing is 100%, and that is equal to 12,500 wildflower meadows. So to work out 10%, all we need to do is to split the whole thing into 10 equal parts. In other words, divide it by 10. So if I divide 12,500 by 10, I'll get 1,250. So I've just knocked off a 0. So this is 10%. We're looking for 5%. 5% is half of the 10% amount. So what I need to do is divide 1,250 by 2. So how many 2's fit into 12? That is exactly 6. How many 2's into 5? That is 2, and we have 1 remaining. How many 2's into 10? That is exactly 5. So 5% of 12,500 is equal to 625. What is 2/5 as a decimal? 2/5 is represented like this. So the whole bar splits into 5 equal parts, and we're looking at 2 of them. So starting from 0, ending with 1, we go 0.2, 0.4, 0.6, 0.8, and then 1. So we stop at this point. That's 0.4. It's also the same as dividing 2 by 5. What is 2/5 as a decimal? We've just gone through that, and that was 0.4. What is 8% as a decimal? Again, 8%, that is like 8 pence. So 0.08. What is 0.4 as a percentage? So if I just quickly draw a bar again, got 10 equal parts, starting with 0, ending with 1, which is like 0% and 100% as a percentage. 0.4 is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 here, 0.4. In terms of a percentage, that's 10, 20, 30, 40%. When you've got 0.4, if you want to put 2 digits so that you can link it to pence, you can just put a 0 after that. It doesn't make any difference because 0.40 is equal to 0.4. So that would be then 40%, just like 40 pence. Circle the decimal with the same value as 3/5. So 3/5, 0, 1. I'm going to split this into 5 equal parts. So it goes 0.2, 0.3, 0.6, 0.8. 3, that's 1, 2, 3. 0.6. It's also like dividing 3 by 5. Complete the table to show equivalent fractions, decimals, and percentages. So we've got as a decimal 0.75, percentage 75%. That would be 75%, which is 3/4. We've got 7/10, which is 0.7. Again, it might help if you put a 0 after that, so that is 70%. If you're unsure, you can draw a number line as well and see where that goes. It stops at 70%. Then we have 1/5, which is 20%. So again, 20%, that is like 20 pence. So 0.2 or 0.20. Doesn't make any difference. Now we move into the calculator questions. Daniel has these test results. Public services, 46%. Maths, 14/25. English, 13/20. Art and design, 6/10. His tutor wants to compare these results. List the subjects in order from his best result to his worst result. Show why you think this. We could have them all as fractions, so we can easily compare fractions with the same denominator. Or you could convert these all into percentages. And I think since we can use a calculator, that might be the best way. So for maths, we have 14 divided by 25, which is 56%. For English, that is 13 divided by 20, which is 65%. Art and design, we've got 6 divided by 10, which is 60%. So we're comparing now 46%, 56%, 65%, and 60%. Which one is the highest? The highest is 65%, which is for English. So English will come first. Then we've got 60% here for art and design. Then 56% for maths. And finally 46% for public services. Cruz is the editor of a magazine. The magazine has 40 pages. The magazine must have 20% of the pages for adverts, a quarter of the pages for photos, the remaining pages for articles. Work out the number of pages for articles in the magazine. So we have 20% adverts. A quarter, as a percentage, that is 25%. And that is photos. And then we have the remaining pages for articles. What percentage is that? So we've got 20 and 25. That gives us 45% for adverts and photos. If we take away 45 from 100, it gives us 55%. So 55% of the pages will be for articles. What is that equal to? How many pages is that? So 55% of 40 pages. So 55 divided by 100 times 40 gives us 22. So 22 pages. Write 1 3/4 as a percentage. So 1, that is 100%. So 1 as a decimal is equal to 100%. 3/4, that is 75%. So altogether, that is going to be 175%. Write 1 2/3 as a decimal. Give your answer correct to 2 decimal places. So 1, we've got that already as a decimal. 2/3, that is 2 divided by 3, which is 0.6666. If you're not sure, you can just do 2 divided by 3 in the calculator. So 6 is recurring. We've got to give our answer correct to 2 decimal places. So 0.6666 correct to 2 decimal places. Looking at the 6 on the right, that is higher than 5, so that means we're going to round up. So this 6 here becomes a 7. The ones in front remain unchanged, the digits in front. So that is 0.67. 2/3 is equal to 0.67, correct to 2 decimal places. Now that's just the 2/3. We've got to add the 1 as well. So 1 plus 0.67, that gives us 1.67. So correct to 2 decimal places as a decimal, 1 2/3 is 1.67. The friends go to lunch after they have raced. Bethany has a voucher giving her 35% off. Ikra has a voucher for 2/5 off. Who has the better discount? Show how you decide. So we're comparing 2/5 and 35%. So what I'm going to do is convert 2/5 into a percentage. So 2/5, that is 2 out of 5, 2 divided by 5, which is 0.4. Now, that is the same as 0.40. So that is equal to 40%. 40% is higher than 35%. So we're going to say that Ikra has the better discount. write 60% as a decimal. So 60% is like 60 pence, which we write as 0.6 or 0.60. Both of them are equal. When we write money, we need to include 2 digits, but when we just write the answer as a decimal, it doesn't matter, so I can write 0.6. %53% of the eggs produced in the UK in 2018 were free range. Write 53% as a fraction. So as the name suggests, 53%, that is 53 out of 100. And there is a fraction. We don't need to simplify it. In fact, we can't even simplify it. It's in its simplest form. But even if we could, you don't need to. That's the point. Between 2014 and 2017, the number of people sleeping rough increased by 75%. Write this percentage as a fraction in its simplest form. Now we're told that we need to write the answer in its simplest form. So that is 75%. That is 75 out of 100. 75 hundredths. As this is such a common percentage, 75%, you might know straight away that this is 3/4. Otherwise, if you look at 75 and 100, they end in 5 or 0, which suggests that we can divide both numbers by 5. So dividing 75 by 5 gives us 15. Dividing 100 by 5 gives us 20. Again, numbers end in 5 or 0, so we can divide by 5 again. 15 divided by 5 gives us 3. 20 divided by 5 gives us 4. So 3/4 is the simplest form of the fraction. If Reg uses both round tins, he will need approximately 5/4 of the cake mix recipe. So this question links to a previous question that is not here, a question that doesn't really link to fractions, decimals and percentages. That's why it's not here. Nonetheless, don't worry. It's important what the question is asking. You will see. So it says, Reg says, that is the same as increasing the recipe amounts by 25%. Is Reg correct? Show how you decide. So all we're doing is looking at 5/4 and showing that that means increasing the recipe amounts by 25%. So 5/4. 4/4 will be a whole thing, 100%. But we've got 5/4. So there we have more quarters. One of these. 1/4 is 25%. So it's like having 100% and 25% on top. That is what 5/4 is equal to. So we're going to say that, yes, he is correct. Or the other thing you can do is divide 5 by 4, which gives us 1.25 as a decimal. So in terms of a percentage, 1 is 100%, 0.25 is 25%, as we've seen here. So altogether this is 125%. So these are two different ways of showing this. Simon is going to France for 7 days. He has £700 saved for this trip. He plans to spend 2/5 of it on accommodation, 25% on flights, and the rest as spending money. How much spending money will he have? Okay, so we could have them all as fractions, all as decimals, or all as percentages. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go with percentages because that is easier to work out. So 2/5, if you don't know already, you can just go and do 2 divided by 5. That is 0.4, which is 40%, because 0.4 is the same as 0.40. So that is 40%. And we also have 25% on flights. So if we add these two together, we get 65%. Now the rest is spending money. So 100 take away 65 gives us 35%. So working out 35% of £700 will give us the spending money. So 35%, that is 35 out of 100 of the amount, which is 700. So 35 divided by 100 times 700 gives us 245. So it's £245. What is 0.35 as a fraction? Give your answer in its simplest form. So 0.35, that is 35%. 35 pence, 35%. So 35%, that is 35 out of 100. We've got to give the answer in its simplest form though, so we've got to keep going and simplify this. So 35, 100, one of them ends in 5, the other ends in 0, so that tells us we can divide both numbers by 5. So 35 divided by 5 gives us 7. 100 divided by 5 gives us 20. Now looking at 7 and 20, can I divide both of them by 2 and have whole numbers? That's not the case for 7. Can I divide 7 by 3 and have the answer being a whole number? No. Can I divide it by 5? No. I can divide it by 7 and it will give me 1, but I can't divide 20 then by 7 to give me a whole number. So this tells me that this is the simplest form. So 7/20 is the simplest form. Put an X on the scale to show 14/20. So there are different ways we could do this. Looking at the scale, that is split into 10 equal parts, whereas what we have is 14/20. So to get from 20 to 10 divided by 2, so we need to do the same to the 14, which gives us 7. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's where 0.7 would be. The other way would be to divide using a calculator. So 14 divided by 20 gives us 0.7. So we know we've got 0.5 here, so this is 0.6 and this is 0.7. Convert 5/8 to a percentage. Show your calculations and the workings out here. 5/8, that is 5 divided by 8, which is 0.625. Now, a percentage is like decimal multiplied by 100. So this is 62.5%. Could just go times 100 here if you like. So it gives you 62.5%. Also, linking with money, you'd have 2 digits after the decimal point when it comes to money. So that's why this would be like 62.5 pence. That's why 62.5%. Write 7/20 as a percentage. So 7/20, 7 divided by 20 is a 0.35. which is 35%, just like 35 pence. And this is the end of the questions.